I will call the Building and Zoning Committee meeting for September 3rd to order. It is 8:55 p.m. and we'll jump right into it with the Zoning Hearing Board agenda for September 8th, 2025. Item 1A, Appeal number 25-3790, Ami Dolev for 1313 Ashbourne Road. Mr. Sekawanga, do you want to just give us a quick overview?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a property that's located in Ward 6. It's gone through several iterations related to the proposed. I know the applicant has also had several meetings with the neighbors. They've been through Planning Commission. Planning Commission, I believe, recommended approval. But I'll turn it over to counsel for the applicant, Ms. Farrell.
Good evening,
Good evening,
everyone.
Ms. Farrell.
Hello, Amy Farrell with Kaplan Stewart. As Henry said, this is 1313 Ashbourne Road. I have a very brief slide presentation if that's helpful, so you can sort of see what's going on. This is a relatively minor applications in terms of the request for relief, so I don't want to take up a ton of your time, but we can walk you through sort of what's proposed if you'd like.
Is there a need for us to go through the slide presentation? Does anyone have any? Why don't we start off, see if we have any questions first,
Sure.
And then see if the slide presentation will enlighten us on those questions. Any comments or questions from the board? I just have one question, Ms. Farrell. So just so I fully understand, and maybe this is where the slide presentation comes into place. I think this has gone through several iterations, right? So are we now with 2 duplexes on this site? Is that what we're talking about?
No, so the initial proposal was for 2 duplexes, so it would have been 4 units total.
Got it.
We required some minor de minimis lot area relief in order to do that. The use itself is permitted in the district. The question was lot size. We were 250 square feet short for each of the proposed lots. The Planning Commission and the County Planning Commission were generally comfortable with that density, with the overall proposal. They asked us to meet with residents. We did that. Residents were concerned about density in particular here and parking concerns along the street, although there was sufficient parking on site, and asked us to take another look at it. So we went back with the applicant. We took another look and we were able to lay it out as 2 lots, each with a single family residence on it. So again, single family also permitted in the district. We do need the same relief related to lot area. We also, when we go from duplex to single family, we need a little bit of lot width relief as well. You're getting less density on the site, but the lot width requirement is larger. It's a little counterintuitive, but that's how the way that, that's how the ordinance is written. So there's 2 requests for de minimis relief associated with the proposal as it exists now. But again, largely in response to neighbor concerns in particular about density on the street. So that's really all that's before the zoning board.
So that change addressed the density concerns.
Yes. Yeah, and again, parking will still be on site. We've got more than enough room to provide all the necessary parking on the lots rather than at the street. We're doing a shared driveway, which will allow us to retain 1 curb cut at the street instead of 2. So for folks passing by, really isn't going to look or feel any different than what they're dealing with now relative to street parking and the like. Okay,
great. Mr. Sekawanga, remind me whose ward this is?
This is in Ward 6, I believe.
Commissioner Sigmundfeld.
Yep.
So,
and he was on the Planning Commission meeting and did participate at the Planning Commission level. So he is aware of it. He knows of the changes and was available when the Planning Commission made their recommendation.
Fair enough. Any other comments or questions on this appeal? All right. Seeing none, on behalf of since Commissioner Sigmundfeld isn't here, I'll make the motion for no action on this matter. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of no action on appeal number 25-3790, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. Appreciate you being here.
Of course. Take care.
Okay. Item 1B, Mr. Sekawanga, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has been continued. Is that correct?
Yes, this has been continued indefinitely, so there's no need for any action by the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to item 1C, appeal number 25-3797. Mr. Friedman for 400 Greenwood Avenue. Welcome, Mr. Friedman. But before you go, let me just ask Mr. Sekawongo to give us a quick overview.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Again, this is a property that's been it's located at 400 Greenwood Avenue in Ward 4. The proposal is for an dentist. It's basically it was an old schoolhouse that's been converted over the years to an executive office, and the proposal is for basically conversion to a dental office. And I believe the potential property owner is online as well, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Friedman to add to this application.
Please welcome Mr. Friedman.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that Henry laid this out nicely. Let me add just a few things. The applicant has a agreement of sale to buy the property, so they're the equitable owner. The property has been used for decades as an accounting office, as a law firm, architect's offices, title company, and those are non-conforming uses because this property is in an R1 zoning district. So what we're planning to do is just to convert the first floor of this building to a dental office, dental and orthodontics office, and that's what is called an E3 medical use or medical office in your ordinance. So we're switching from one non-conforming use to another, and that is permitted by special exception under 295-2502B. So the second floor will continue to be used for offices, non-medical offices. And we have, I should say that this was considered last week by the Planning Commission. It was unanimously approved. And we have on the Zoom call the architect for the project, Michael Drury, who can discuss the site plan if you want. He can talk about the ADA improvements. You want us to do that.
But Mr. Friedman, when you say ADA improvements, you mean on-site or along the right of way, that sort of thing?
On-site.
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 Okay. Before we turn over to any other the owner or any of the other of Mr. Friedman's team, does anyone have any questions about this appeal? Seeing none, Mr. Friedman, is there on-site parking for these businesses in this location? I mean, obviously Greenwood Avenue is not conducive to street parking, right?
Correct. I believe there's 44 spaces.
Okay. And currently those spaces service the existing businesses?
They do.
Okay. Mr. Sekawonga, is there any recommendation or objection from staff on this? I mean, it seems pretty straightforward.
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Again, the property is not fully occupied. I think this would be a great use for the location. It's a low impact type of use, we believe. That there used to be a tennis court on the back of the property that was they got zoning relief to convert that into parking. We feel they probably will provide adequate parking, but again, ultimately the zoning hearing board will make the call. Again, it's they're not seeking a variance; they're seeking a special exception. So there will be conditions imposed as part of the approval.
Fair enough. Commissioner Cherico.
Sure, and this is not my ward, but very close to it. And Mr. Friedman, thanks so much. And this might be a question for Henry, and forgive my ignorance on this. And I was doing a few things at the same time, so I apologize. Does the Bahar have? Are there going to be any sort of changes to the exterior of the building that would impact? And I'm not even sure if the Bahar stretches to that spot. And so thought maybe you could just respond to that.
No, it's not in the historic district,
Okay.
and I don't believe there are any intended changes to the exterior. If they do, they would, they would have to patenting permits
Right.
as
Okay.
well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Commissioner Cherico. In Commissioner Rapport's absence, unless there are other comments or questions, I'll move for no action on appeal number 25-3797. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Friedman.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just real quick, I apologize. I misspoke. This is in the Bahas. So any exterior
Oh.
changes, not only will they require building permits, but they will need to get a certificate of appropriateness. I apologize for that.
Okay. So, and Mr. Friedman, there will be no exterior changes. I mean, signage, I imagine, would have to go through the Bahar, correct?
Yes.
There's no exterior changes that I'm aware of, except for maybe the ADA ramp, but nothing other than that.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna with that new information, just to make sure we're all on the same page, I'm gonna remove the matter just to make sure no one's changed their mind in light of that new information. So I'm gonna move for no action on 25-3797 400 Greenwood Avenue. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Sekwonga, for the clarification. Mr. Freeman, have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, review of zoning hearing board decisions. 2A, appeal number 25-3784, Midgard Properties 3 LP for 827 Glenside Avenue. Mr. Sekwonga, you want to give us a quick overview?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a holdover from it's been pending for a few months now, but the application was for to allow for a boutique fitness gym with an attached known brand such as CrossFit to operate in this existing building. The applicant was granted the variance requested for that. The applicant also agreed to remove the shipping containers, which was one of the issues that was at hand or that was pending. But again, the relief was granted, conditioned on the applicant following through with the notes of testimony that were provided.
Mr. Sekwonga, do we know if that's been completed yet? The removal?
We'll have to check and see. Again, this is within the last, the variance was just granted recently, so we'll
Okay.
verify.
And that monitoring comes out of your office or code
Yes, that
enforcement?
monitoring comes out of our office. Basically, if those containers are not withdrawn by the applicant, we will not issue violation notices, but we will proceed with citations.
Okay, great.
Justice, yes.
Is this also in?
This is in Ward 4, which is
just right on the border.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't. There's like 3 wards that intersect right there. So.
Exactly.
All right. So I will then move for no action on this appeal. Any comments or questions? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Good riddance to those containers. Item 2B, appeal number 25-3793, Scott Mladinsky, I think I pronounced that correctly, for 220 Brookdale Avenue. Mr. Sekwonga, I think this involves a fence.
Yes, this was a fence, a split rail fence that was proposed to be installed in the floodplain. The zoning hearing board granted the relief. Again, it's a split rail fence that's open, so it would allow flow of water in case of a situation, a flooding situation. But the approval was granted by the zoning hearing board, and the property is in Ward 1.
Yes. So unless there's any objection, comments, questions, I'll move for no action on this appeal. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. And 2C, appeal number 25-3794, Damian Honda for 139 South Easton Road. Is this the Citizens Bank?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
accurate. Yep.
Go ahead. Give us a
Again,
quick.
Yes, this was before the zoning hearing board. They were requesting, again, it's part of their rebranding. The board did grant the changes that were requested to allow for 6 parallel wall signs on the property as depicted, and for an internally illuminated parallel wall sign to be installed. That relief was granted by the zoning hearing board. Again, this property is in Ward 1.
Okay, any comments or questions on this one? All right, seeing none, I'll move for no action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. All right, moving on to item number 3, review and comment under section 106 review of the National Historic Preservation Act for the installation of one new antenna on a new utility pole located in Wyncote and one new antenna on an existing utility pole located in Wyncote for Crown Castle. So I suppose we would take these separately, but Mr. Sekawongo, do you want to just give the board and the public who's listening in just a quick understanding of what the section 106 review process is and what our role is, and then we can open it up for board comment at that point.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So again, this is a process that's required as part of the National Historic Preservation Act. Basically, it's to afford the township a reasonable opportunity to comment on improvements specific to some of these entities. Again, the reason why it's before you is because the township is a certified local government as recognized by the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission. So any changes or any proposed changes that require comments, we basically, as the department, bring it up to you for potential comment and input. Again, the proposals for removal of an existing utility pole, I believe it's owned by Pico, and replacing that pole, which is 30 feet, by one that's 38.5 along Washington Lane and Worcester Lane. It's right at that intersection. I believe as part of the proposed, they will be putting on an antenna, a new antenna that has a height of about 42 feet with no ground disturbance. We have several members of Crown Castle that are present. Maybe they can provide additional detail on what's being proposed at these 2 locations, if the board would oblige.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, Mr. Sekawongo, so the purpose of our comments today are that they would then be incorporated by your department into a letter that goes that gets submitted with our concerns, and then perhaps taken into consideration as part of this approval process.
Absolutely. Okay. And again, because this is a 30-day review period process, we will have that accessible to the public. We'll have this information accessible as well. So any member of the public after this meeting can provide input as well towards the process.
Okay, that is an excellent point. So we want anyone, certainly residents who live in the impacted area, to ensure that they weigh in with their own comments should they deem it appropriate. So I'll sort of kick it off with what strikes me as concerning, which is frankly just the height of these structures. I mean, for a 40-foot pole / antenna in what is, it's on a main road. At least the Washington Lane one is, Penrose less so. But having a 40-foot structure in these locations, frankly, is concerning. And I don't know what the value to the township is in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what these antennas are for, or what value they bring to the neighbors in terms of whether it's cell service or what have you. And maybe that's something that the Crown Castle folks can comment on. But I am concerned about just the sheer height of these structures in residential and residential adjacent neighborhoods. Before I turn it over to the Crown Castle folks to maybe respond to my question, does anyone else on the board want to raise any issues or concerns that they see from this matter? Go ahead, Commissioner Norris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And perhaps this might have been answered by the respondents who are going to talk, but does the township receive any remuneration for the antenna. I guess I'm unclear as to, is this all owned by PECO and therefore it's a public utility? Or does some of this have a more private commercial purpose, which would entitle the township to compensation?
Yeah, maybe also to add to that, hopefully the applicant can respond to this. As part of our zoning ordinance, we do have certain requirements related to application permit fees and compliance with our ordinance specific to distributed antenna systems. I don't know whether the applicant will be able to respond to some of those questions specific to applications, permit fees, and as stated
Yes.
by Mr. Norris, on any other remuneration. Thank you.
So we have a couple questions on the table. Do the Crown Castle folks want to weigh in on those?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening, Chair, Commissioners, other committee members. My name is John Tomasini. I manage external affairs for Crown Castle throughout the state of Pennsylvania, as well as New Jersey, Delaware, and Ohio. Joined by my colleagues Lisa Mosey, Patrick Beringer. They'll speak to the specific questions that you have on these two sites. But I think, Mr. Chair, if I can, I think some of your questions, right, about how this benefits your constituents and why this kind of why we're looking to do this is probably where we should start at. And Commissioner Norris, just so you know, Crown Castle, we are a regulated public utility, fully compliant with the PUC and regulated by the PUC in Pennsylvania. So that being said, we're talking about small cell wireless facilities. This is one of the three assets in our portfolio, of which we are the largest provider in the United States of shared telecommunications infrastructure. So what that is large macro tower sites that you can't really miss anywhere you're at these days. Those are going to be your extremely tall, either monopole or lattice structures that you see pretty much anywhere. Also, second part of our portfolio is fiber optic cable. We have about 100,000 route miles of fiber optic cable throughout the country. And then lastly, what we're talking about tonight is small cell wireless facilities, where we currently have about 120,000 on air or under contract throughout the United States. Why small cells matter? Small cells are what brings your cell phone signal down to the ground. What adds capacity to a network. I always think a good way to illustrate that is we've all been to a sporting event, right, or a concert where you're looking down at your cell phone and you have 5 bars, but you can't get out the picture or the video that you just took, or take the call to let someone know where you might be, right? So what these facilities do is they add capacity to that network. They bring that signal down to the ground. So not only is it going to enhance your constituents' connectivity, it's also going to enhance public safety measures. About 90% of 911 calls are made from cell phones. So this is critical infrastructure for that. Also, when we think of innovation, right, in the future, whether it's self-driving cars, use of drones by emergency personnel, all those types of things that require constant connectivity is kind of why this matters. What separates us from other folks? We're not a provider. We're not an end user company. We build the infrastructure and then we lease it to our customers. In this case, T-Mobile, one of our big 3 customers and clients, along with AT&T, Verizon, Dish Network, which is Boost Wireless, and so on and so forth. These specific sites are T-Mobile sites. But again, what makes us unique is we co-locate. So we build once, and then we add all of our customers to the same site without increasing size, staying within both state and federal regulations. I will say that the equipment that Lisa will talk to you about here in a little bit is 26 cubic feet proposed on these sites. State and federal guidelines allow for 28 cubic feet. So not only do we consider that when we're looking at where we can build to serve our customers, we also pride ourselves in blending in with aesthetics and values that are important on the ground in any community that we're building. So I think that being said was just kind of important to sort of let you know what we're doing, who we are, why we're here. But I think some of your more specific questions, maybe Commissioner Norris had, will be better answered by my colleague, Lisa Mosey.
Go ahead, Ms. Mosey.
Thanks, John. So we were invited tonight as a result of, I think, the public filing for an invitation for public comment on two of the locations, which is the PHL 516, 7712 Washington Lane, and then also PHL 17 is our site ID, which is the 7780 Penrose Avenue site. Both of these are utilizing existing Pico poles. The site at Washington Lane, as Henry mentioned, would require make ready from Pico, so that pole will be changed out and replaced to a newer pole, gaining a little bit of additional height so that proper clearances can be maintained between the power and the telecommunications infrastructure. But as John mentioned, these sites, these small cell sites are not unusual. They, you have 3 of them right now operating within Cheltenham Township that are existing sites that have been in place for some time. And these are just meant to add to coverage and capacity for the area. In terms of, payment to the township, that is utilized through permitting fees that we pay. All sites, do go through municipal permit applications in addition to the regulatory filings. So these, are no exception to that. They go through the normal permitting process. But, as John mentioned, Crown is operating as a certified public utility. We are operating within the public right-of-way. And we partner with other utilities, in this case Verizon, in this case Pico, but also in Verizon, to try to utilize existing poles whenever possible. The sites here are placement of a shroud in which the radios would be located, and then it does have an antenna on the top of the pole, in which case this is a 2-foot antenna that are proposed in both of these locations.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mosey. Just before I turn over to Commissioner Cherico, how does and who does, I guess, determine where the location would be? Is this like an identified area of weaker or capacity or cell service, or is it just we need a pole and there's one here?
It's a very good question. So Crown Castle does work with our wireless carriers, as John mentioned. In this case, T-Mobile is the carrier that has facilitated this initial build. But once a site is established, we frequently have others that come on. The majority of our sites are co-located, which means we have multiple carriers operating on them. But we work to see where coverage needs. And many times, since these larger carriers such as Verizon and T-Mobile, they will be operating from those very same macro towers that John just described. So the larger towers, right? The signals are bouncing between those towers. There are places, and I like to think of like the towers as, they have circular coverage, almost like, say you had bowling balls that you were putting together, right? So you have a bunch of bowling balls sitting next to each other. There's still gaps within those, right? These small cells are meant to fill those gaps in coverage. So the same gap in coverage for T-Mobile quite frequently is the same gap in coverage that Verizon will experience too, which is why a lot of these sites are co-located.
Got it.
We work with those carriers to say, where are the needs for connectivity, for capacity, where are calls being dropped, where you see that need for additional coverage, and try to fill those holes and gaps so that consumers don't experience those dropped calls. They get the reliable service that they need. As John mentioned, it's, many jurisdictions that we service, and we deal with jurisdictions all over Pennsylvania, Jersey, Delaware, daily. It's a matter of public safety for the emergency services as well, to be able to communicate with one another during public events in these high traffic areas. So, we take that very seriously and work with the providers to carefully select sites that will work to serve that need.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Jericho, go ahead.
Ms. Mosey, thanks so much. I'm wondering if you can just clarify something, and I may not have caught what you said, and maybe you could clarify. Are both of these antennas going onto existing poles that are going to be installed within the next period of time by PECO? Because I know PECO is going through and installing taller utility poles. So both of these are going on top of new PECO poles. Is that right?
So just to clarify, our PHL 516, which is the Washington Lane site, there is an existing PECO pole there, but as part of the make ready process, we partner with our utilities to make sure that we have the proper clearances. They have determined that a higher pole needs to be placed there. So PECO will be changing that pole out to a higher pole in order to accommodate that. So the site itself is an existing pole, but they're going to put a larger one in. For the PHL 517, which is the Penrose Avenue site, that pole is not being changed out. That is an existing pole. That height and the attachments on there allow for us to build without any replacement.
And what are the heights of the two poles at 516 and 517?
So 516, one moment while I reference the print here, the construction drawing. So I think the paperwork says it's 42 feet, but that's so your antenna, you said, is just going to be 2 feet above that. Is that right? So the total height after the antenna is installed on 516 will be at 42 feet. The top of the pole is at 38 feet 6 inches.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think that answers. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Commissioner Jericho. Commissioner Norris, and then Commissioner Brockington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm all in favor of increased capacity and increased coverage. But I want to go back to the township receiving compensation wherever and whenever it's appropriate. So I'm not sure. I'm certainly not the expert in this area, but perhaps township manager or township solicitor can help me out. I know we currently have arrangements with both Verizon and Comcast. I think long-term agreements or multi-year agreements where we get compensated from each of them. And I don't know if I'm talking about apples and oranges here or if this is something similar. So that's my first question. But my second is, if aside from that, T-Mobile is Crown Castle's customer. T-Mobile is going to have this unit up there, and it seems pretty apparent to me that besides the permit fees that are being required, that we are to be getting compensated for permitting that that to be installed, for that to remain up there.
So I think Commissioner Norris, I think you've asked that question a couple times. I haven't heard a straight answer from the folks at Crown Castle as to what their position on that would be.
I can jump into, I think, Commissioner Norris, what you might be thinking about from Verizon and Comcast is their franchise agreement, which it refers directly with just their provision of cable television, not the rights of way. So this would not be applicable in that case.
Okay.
But this
Yeah,
may,
and-
but this may warrant other, compensation through another means, right?
Yes, yes, I was going to just say that. Thank you. I'd still like to hear from Crown Castle as to how T-Mobile can compensate the township.
Yeah, well, I can, let me, if I'll just can real quick, Lisa and Ed, there, I'm apologize if you haven't gotten a straight answer. I certainly wasn't asked this before, but I would just draw your attention to Pennsylvania Act 50 of 2021, which allows municipalities to charge maximum annual right-of-way fee of $270 per small cell wireless facility, as well as application fees, which I think committee member Henry had brought up in the beginning. So unfortunately, while we would like to be able to do a little bit more in some of our communities, this is not one of the ways that we can. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't invest in other ways in places where we have significant assets, but I don't know that this is the forum necessarily for that conversation.
Right, I
however,
agree. I agree with that.
I'd be happy to have that conversation with where else we might be able to do some things on the ground in your community, Commissioner Norris and Mr. Chair at a more appropriate time, if that's all right.
Yeah,
think
Mr.
that's
Tomasini,
fine.
that sounds good. Perhaps we could have Manager Elliott reach out to you and arrange a time for us to sit down and discuss.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Brockington.
Thank you, Mr. President. John, thanks for coming out. Real quick, you mentioned that you guys have ways of making these poles blend in, but you never said how. And
Yeah.
do you plan to do that with these poles and make them, I mean, are they going to just look like, people are going to go by, what the heck is that? How do you make them blend in?
Yeah, great question. So not necessarily the pole in this case, as mentioned, it's going to be a Pico infrastructure here, but our specific equipment, right? So the housing that's going to have the radio equipment inside of it for T-Mobile. We always do our best to match that with existing color schemes. It could be adding planters to a pole. I mean, Lisa has seen it all. I will tell you, not to drag you down a rabbit hole, but we've deployed in some pretty significant jurisdictions, municipalities that are actually completely designated historic, and have gone back and forth over the course of significant periods of time to make sure we come up with something that we feel comfortable leaving on the ground with the communities that we're serving or impacting. So we have a team dedicated to that. We have catalogs of potential color schemes and designs so that we get something that everyone is happy with at the end of the day, while also still fully functional.
So you'll be working with Henry in that aspect?
I think that'd be Lisa's team would be, yes, absolutely.
Lisa will be. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Brockington. Mr. Sekwong, that's probably a good point to add to our communication under the 106 process.
Sure.
The aesthetic part of it. I noticed, Mr. Sekwong, that you had your hand up earlier.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know Crown Castle did mention these two, has highlighted these two sites as potential antenna sites. Could you share what the other locations are in the township, please?
Right.
Beneficial.
Do you want to handle that, Lisa?
Existing, sure. I'm just trying to pull it up. So do you mean the existing locations that are currently on air?
Yes.
In the township, yes.
You have, we have a site at 2000 Ashbourne Road.
Okay.
One at 7642 Water Road. And another at 630 Croydon Road. So if you'd like, to see what they look like, in the public right of way, those are three within your township that are currently operating on air. And I think have been there for quite some time.
Right.
I want to say years, 10 years. So.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quick, Bo, not to put you on the spot. I don't know whether any of these are on township owned poles, or Joe, on township owned poles, or township right of way, township owned streets.
No, I believe that all of those are on Pico facilities.
Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions for the Crown Castle team, or any other additions for the communication coming out of planning and zoning under this 106 process from the board? All right, seeing none, I don't think we have there's not a vote or anything on this, I don't think. So, Henry, you have what you need from us?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great.
And
Thank
please,
you. Thank
that's
you
it.
to Mr. Tomasini, Ms. Mosey, and Mr. Berenger for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on then to item number 4, receipt of the monthly Citizens Committee meeting minutes. The Planning Commission met on August 25th, 2025. The meeting minutes are attached. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll move for acceptance of the Planning Commission meeting minutes for August 25th, 2025. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all. The Board of Historical and Architectural Review did not meet in August, so we'll skip over that. Item number 5, receipt of staff reports for July 2025. There is an electronic attachment to click on. We have, I'm just going to lump them together, and if anyone wants to comment, we can do that. Planning and Zoning monthly reports, the report of the building inspector, and the report of the code administrator. Before we open up for questions or comments from the board, Mr. Sekawangu, Mr. Lynch, or anyone else want to comment on the reports before we open it up?
No,
Okay.
just staying busy. Period.
Thank you. No doubt about that.
Mm.
It's evident. Comments or questions from the board on these reports? Once, twice. All right. I'll move for acceptance of the staff reports listed for July 2025. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all. All right, moving on to old business. We don't have any agenda items under old business. Does anyone on the board have old business to bring up for this meeting? All right, head shaking. Staff. All right, closing old business. Moving on to new business. Item 7A. Consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize advertisement of a public hearing to consider public comment on an ordinance amending Chapter 295 zoning, Article 15, MU3 mixed-use districts to modify certain of the design and development standards for a Class 3 special exception in the MU3 mixed-use district. It's a mouthful that I'm going to ask Mr. Diazio to just give us, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Diazio, just to give us a quick summary of what we're talking about here. Translation, exactly.
Sure. So this is a zoning ordinance amendment to the MU3 ordinance, which the board adopted a number of months ago. There were some changes or there were some suggestions to the ordinance that were received by the county prior to the board adopting this ordinance a number of months ago. But due to the timing of those recommendations, they weren't able to be incorporated into the final version that the board approved. So on one hand, the comments from the county, many of those comments have now made their way into this version of the ordinance. As the board also and the community also knows, there's a property that's currently being developed under this section of the zoning code. And as we've gone through that process, we have utilized this ordinance section of the code for the first time. There were some provisions of the ordinance that staff felt warranted updating, and so those are also included for the board's consideration. This would be advertised. If the board votes to move this matter forward, it would be advertised, and then there would be a public hearing at a future meeting of the Board of Commissioners, likely in November.
Okay, and that's because the length of time that it needs to be advertised before you could have the public meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and just to put a finer point on it, the development that falls under the MU3 mixed-use district is the former Melrose Country Club property development, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we've certainly on the board, we're familiar with the modifications, but if anyone on the board has questions or comments that they want to put forth for this meeting, please do so now. All right. I don't see any comments or questions from the public. There's a few, we still have a few people here this evening. All right. So seeing none, I will move for approval to authorize the advertisement, or recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize advertisement of a public hearing on this matter. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Thank you. And thanks to the Mr. Diazio, Ms. Elliott, and the team for working on the edits to that ordinance. Item 7B, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners authorize advertisement of a public hearing to consider public comment on an ordinance amending Chapter 295 zoning, Article 3, definitions, Article 8, MU1 mixed-use districts, and Article 23, testing my Roman numerals, Article 23, parking and loading to permit medical marijuana dispensaries in certain portions of the MU1 mixed-use zoning district by special exception when certain criteria are met. I could understand how someone reading that might be concerned, but as I understand it, this is just a cleanup of our current ordinance. Mr. Diazio or Ms. Elliott, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, so with this ordinance, it was brought to our attention that a number of years ago, the board actually adopted an ordinance allowing medical marijuana dispensaries in a very not in the entire MU1 district, but just in a small section of the MU1 district, when all of the other provisions of the code were satisfied. It was right around that time that the board also adopted the comprehensive overhaul of the zoning code. And when those two things got approved at the same time, the version of the zoning code that ended up being the final version of the code being posted to the website, the medical marijuana dispensary use was never incorporated into that zoning district, was never properly incorporated into the new code. So staff identified this as a gap, sort of an error in the code. And so we're simply proposing to the board to put that use right back where the board a number of years ago designated that it should go, under the same conditions that the board approved a number of years ago.
Yes.
If I might add also,
Yeah, please.
We took advantage of the opportunity to update a little bit of the information in this ordinance. We took a look at a couple of other ordinances, mainly just to clarify that one of the definition of medical marijuana dispensary, but also added a few additional criteria to the special exception, so that should any other dispensary qualify, or if there's any changes to the existing one, there would be additional criteria. A lot of it just follows what's already in the Medical Marijuana Act, but it made sense. So Henry and I, when we talked about it, thought they were appropriate to add into this revised ordinance.
Okay, thank you for that additional clarification. Any comments or questions from any members of the board on this? Okay, seeing none, I'm just going to say that this is just yet another example of the good work that staff, from Henry, Manager Elliott, Mr. Diazio, and all staff, always looking to add our code to seek improvements, correct, errors or omissions. And it is just simply an ongoing process that requires a great deal of diligence and painstaking attention to detail. And for that, we really thank you, because obviously this could have a major impact if these things aren't corrected, updated, and then ultimately updated and put on our website so the public can see it. So thank you all for that hard work and that effort. Unless there are any other comments or questions, I will move to recommend to the Board of Commissioners that we authorize advertisement of a public hearing to consider public comment on the ordinance change listed in item 7B? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you all. Moving on to number 8. Before I move on to number 8, is there any other new business for tonight's meeting? All right. Very good. Citizens Forum. Any citizens want to weigh in on tonight's meeting or any other building and zoning matter? Once, twice. All right. Seeing none, we'll close Citizens Forum, and I will call for adjournment at 9:46 p.m. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye.